Hello and welcome to Fearless DIY Music. My name is Tristan Lass, and today I want to talk about how you can avoid using plugins in your DAW. I come from the world of analog, and I am right now navigating my way through, I've kind of repurposed my studio. I've reinvented it as a DAW-based system. I am very happy with my workflow, and at this point I finally figured out a signal flow that really works for me. And I wanted to just talk a little bit about these things because I am preparing to record, and one of the things that I've come across is that I'm not necessarily satisfied with a lot of out-of-the-box sounds that I'm getting from the plugins that I have at my disposal, and I don't feel like spending a whole bunch of money on buying additional plugins that will probably also be not as satisfying as I would hope. So what I have done is I have gone ahead and used my outboard gear to create an input signal flow that is fully affected. So that way I don't have to use plugins, and what I am recording into the DAW is essentially the finished product. I know that in the world of analog, usually what my method was to record everything dry, and then go back and add compression and reverb and effects after the fact using all of my AUXs, and buses and things to run the effects through my giant analog mixing board. Being that the DAW system is so much more flexible and you have infinite tracks and all sorts of those kind of signal flow flexibilities underneath your fingertips, which most of you are probably very adept at and very used to using, I can basically pile up as many signals as I want into the DAW. So what I have come up with is, by using my analog outboard gear, I've created a signal path for vocals, acoustic guitars, anything I'm putting a microphone in front of or using a microphone to capture. Now we'll be going through my outboard system directly into the DAW. So the way that my signal flow, the way that it works is basically I'll go into my preamp. The preamp goes into my compressor. And here's the beautiful part, and I don't know how many compressors are out there on the market. This is a stereo compressor. It's an Art Pro VLA, not the VLA2. This is the first generation from the mid-90s. I love this unit, and it has two outputs, an XLR and a TRS per channel. So in essence, I can plug a single microphone into channel 1 of my tube preamp. That then goes into my compressor. My compressor is then outputting both an XLR and a TRS signal. Now, I'm using the XLR signal as a dry, and that will just go directly into my interface. Then I have a TRS cable coming out of my TC Electronic multi-effect unit here, studio-worthy unit. I will be using it mainly as a reverb. So I then plug that into channel 2 of my interface, and I've got a dry and a wet signal from the single microphone. Over here, I've got channel 2, and I would probably be running, on channel 1, I would probably be running this NT1. On channel 2, if I was doing a vocal, I'd use a cardioid mic in addition to this, so I'd be capturing my voice with both microphones. Once again, we'd be going through channel 2 with a cardioid into the compressor. The compressor outs both the TRS and the XLR. I have a dry and then a wet signal. And I will be using my Yamaha Rev 100 to do effects like delays and other things like that to my voice, even flange or chorus or whatever. There's a huge variety of sounds that I really like and have been using forever in this Yamaha Rev 100 unit. I also have been using TC Electronic Cathedral reverb forever. It is my favorite reverb of all time, and having that just going direct into the DAW is fantastic. And if something sounds over affected, or if the take is perfect but I'm not digging the wet signals so much, I will have two dry backup signals at my disposal. So that's the solution I've come up with, is that I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to run my mics through my preamp. It is a TPS2 Art So it has all the different tube voicings, a very, very solid unit. So I've got my preamp. I can do coloration there right at the front, compression, and I'm running my compressor at 3-to-1. So it is, it's very flexible. It's not like I'm squashing things. I'm just using it to keep things even and steady, and I'm not trying to, overly compress anything. And I find that the 3-to-1 ratio is just really kind of a good utility setting. And I try not to mess with my settings too much, because I just like to find something that really works and works in as many cases as possible and just leave it there. So I've got my compression, I've got my preamp, and then I can add, both of my outboard units here, my effects units, are multi-effects units. So in addition to the dry signal that's being captured, I can do all sorts of fun things with vocals and guitars, and with acoustic guitars, drum kit. If I wanted to, I could flange drums. But the beauty of this system is that everything that I'm putting into the DAW will be a complete sound. And that has been my goal, and trying to wrap my head around how I was going to do that was a bit of a conundrum. And over the past month or so, I kind of, I did keep some of my analog gear, and I've set it up in a way that it's going to serve me very well. And that way I can have finished sounds in my DAW and just use it as basically a mixer for panning and for, setting volumes. And of course, if I do need to use a plugin, they're still there. But I want to try to get as close to a finished product as possible into the DAW at the front. I have experimented with this by laying down tracks, listening back. Everything sounds fantastic, and it just really, really works. And I think that for people with underpowered computers, maybe people who don't have, a whole lot of resources at their disposal as far as cash and things, you can also get, little reamp boxes so that you can run your multi-effects units that you may already own, like guitar pedals and things like that, and use those to, do some of your signal processing for you, so you don't have to max out your CPU with a bunch of plugins that are going at the same time when you're trying to go ahead and get a mix. Anyway, I just wanted to discuss this signal flow solution that I've come up with for myself and see if it might be of benefit to others. Now, the one huge advantage that I have is the fact that my compressor does have 2 live outs per channel. Some don't. Some only have a 1 output. And the way that you could get around that is you could quite simply get a signal splitter, and if you only have 1 out, you could run that into a signal splitter that then shoots it into a wet and dry. Then you could go ahead and run wet and dry signals of the exact same performance, and there you go. You'd have the same solution. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far into the video, I'd appreciate a like and a subscribe. Subscriptions are going up. The channel is growing, and I'm very pleased with everything and very grateful to everybody who has subscribed at this point, and to all of you who will subscribe in the future. Also, comments, any commentary on what I've been talking about. Is it foolish to go ahead and put, fully processed signals into your DAW, or is it just, a matter of course these days? I don't know, because I am kind of new to this universe, and figuring this out was huge for me. This may not be news to a lot of you. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.